Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Happy Friday, guys. Yeah, that's right. It's Friday. Good stuff. Anyways, I am your host, Coin Icarus. We have got some awesome topics that we are going to dive into. That's right, guys. So look, we've been saying that it's paper Bitcoin summer as Bitcoiners, right? Jokingly trolling the new suit coiners that have joined the space. And you know what? I think I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong about it being just paper Bitcoin summer because as the I guess as Visa and who else? Visa, maybe Jamie Dimon, a couple of other people. They seem to be pushing stablecoin summer. So maybe it's actually stablecoin summer. Who knows? Anyways, we're going to dive in, take a look at what's going on with Visa and their stablecoin garbage. We are going to make fun of some Jamie Dimon cope because, of course, he can't stop coping because he has no choice but to keep saying Bitcoin. He has no choice but to keep talking about stablecoins. And anyways, it's good times. The SEC chair, apparently a fan of self-custody. Why? I mean, not that I mind that he likes self-custody, but I'm surprised, right? I'm a little bit surprised. Anyways, the Bitcoin Treasury Unconference. That's right. I didn't realize that we actually needed a conference for everybody's Twitter timelines, but apparently there needs to be an overpriced conference for you to sit there and get grifted into buying shares because these companies are buying Bitcoin. Anyways, we're going to take a look at a little marketing video that they got going on. We're going to pull up their little Bitcoin Treasury Unconference website and take a look at how much it costs to read people's Twitter timeline. I mean, to go and see these speakers tell us about paper Bitcoin. And of course, right? Of course, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy gave their earnings. Got to tell you, market doesn't care about unrealized earnings right now. Not surprised. Not surprised. Anyways, guys, you know the deal. I'm going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor. And we're going to be right back to dive into all of this drama. Here we go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right, so let's go. Another post from Mark Goodwin. Like I said yesterday, if you guys don't follow this account, I think you should. He gives good objective takes. Him and Whitney Webb do a lot of research that most people don't even want to read about. And what's interesting is that quite often, what he is exposing only ends up getting exposed several months later. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other people taking credit for it. Anyways, the whole point is not to do a big Mark Goodwin sale over here. We're talking about Visa expanding their stable coin settlement. That's right. Through a new partnership with Paxos, Visa will be able to support 2 additional dollar-backed stable coins, Global Dollar USG and PayPal USD, bringing the transformative power of 2 more trusted stable coins to our partners. I mean, if we thought for a second that the biggest payment network rails were just going to kind of sit back and say, oh, our time has come and gone. We're just going to, allow these new market entrants to eat our entire moat so that they can take over the whole business. Like, obviously that's not what's happening. Okay. That's not what's happening. Visa and MasterCard, they're not going away. I know like people think they are, but people also need to realize like Visa and MasterCard probably have they probably have one of the best businesses in terms of fiat, because you need to realize something. They don't issue debt. Okay. So Visa and MasterCard are just brand names and networks. Okay. So very high margins. That's what they do. I'm not shilling you to buy their stuff. I don't care about that. I'm just saying these guys aren't going anywhere. And if you think they're just going to give up, you're sorely mistaken. It's just not happening. They are going to become more entrenched in this. Visa is, Visa was actually backing Block, right? 20% of Block was owned by Visa. They sold that stake off. It's already been a few years, but right, like they understand, they see the writing on the wall. You know, they totally get it. And then on top of that, the funniest part about these two companies is that as the money supply, because the money supply is never going to stop growing, but as the money supply grows, they just keep capturing a bigger and bigger part of it because more and more flows digitally through their rails. Anyways, yeah, I don't see that going away. So for the people who think that, like, you know, your crypto is going to go and kill Visa, kill MasterCard, and they're not going anywhere. They're most likely not going anywhere. Anyways, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Now let's take a listen here. Jamie Dimon being interviewed again, stuck talking about Bitcoin. Let's have a laugh.
A merging of kind of crypto and JP Morgan and traditional finance in recent months, whether it's the Coinbase partnership that you announced yesterday, where Chase customers can use credit cards to fund Coinbase accounts, or Investor Day, where you said clients can buy Bitcoin, although you cautioned against it, or the stablecoin like token JPMD. How prevalent do you see crypto in traditional finance, and do you foresee risks as these two worlds do become more intertwined?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's never been a new financial product that didn't entail risk. So that obviously is going to be risk, and they haven't written all the laws yet. Like, you know, think of the rules around it, like, you know, AML and BSA and KYC and disclosures, and, you know, when they say stable coin, which we're going to have. I'm not against stable coins, like a mutual fund, you know, but mutual funds have rules. What are the rules going to be around stable coins? And I think there are really, so I'm a believer in stable coin, a believer in blockchain, not personally a believer in Bitcoin itself, but.
I mean, okay, we're gonna stop it right there. Is anybody really surprised? Right? Is anybody really surprised that guys like Jamie Dimon, that have this insane moat? Are we really surprised that these guys hate Bitcoin and love stable coins? I don't think this is any surprise. But you know what? I'm enjoying watching them squirm. I'm enjoying watching them do these mental gymnastics to try to justify their walled gardens. And look, in all fairness, stable coins aren't going away. They're not going anywhere. You can see the legacy system. This is the bed of Procrustes for the legacy system. Okay, they are going to shoehorn this entire digital asset framework thing into the legacy system as best they can, and it's going to be entertaining. I'm already entertained, to be perfectly honest. Anyways, yeah, so that's good times. Moving on, guys. Look at us, right? SEC Chair Paul Atkins says he's in favor of Bitcoin and crypto self-custody. Let's have a watch.
To have self-custody of one's private property is a core American value. I believe deeply in the right to use a self-custodial digital wallet to maintain personal crypto assets and participate in on-chain activities like staking.
Okay. I see the chat is chat's really alive. Happy Friday, guys. Yeah. I think I just showed this comment. I'm going to show it again, right? 2017 called they want their FUD back. Absolutely. I mean, this is nonsense. It's so insane. It is absolutely insane. Okay, so but the main criticism I have, which of course, obviously, right, we can't just have like an objective discussion about this without criticizing it. Okay, so Matt here. So Matt is saying he's a stacker. I hope you're right, Matt. I do hope you're right. And that kind of reminds me of one of these conversations that I heard. I've mentioned this in the past. I haven't heard this mentioned in many, many years, but there was this idea of something called like the fifth pillar, which was essentially all of these very high up people in the government that are actually stacking, and you know, they can see the writing on the wall, right? And they believe in Bitcoin because they understand Bitcoin's qualities and what it means for personal freedom. But they have no choice, right? They're part of the machine. They're getting their paycheck. I mean, none of us are really better than our incentive. So it's like, how do we move this along, right? How do we get this to the end goal? So maybe Matt's right. Maybe he is a stacker. I hope he is. But I also can't help but do the tinfoil hat take and think to myself, why? Okay, let's say he's not a stacker. Why is he endorsing this? You know, is it that like this is kind of a step to get people to let their guard down? Maybe. But I don't see what the the end result of that would be, right? Because again, for a successful 6102 attack to take place, you can't have a bunch of individuals holding their Bitcoin. You need institutions holding the majority of the Bitcoin, so that way it can actually be seized in an efficient manner. So, I don't know. But look, I appreciate it. I appreciate the sentiment. For me, this is bullish stuff. This is good stuff. Even though I'm obviously not even though some of these shitcoiners pretend that Bitcoiners are statists, which I think is hilarious. Definitely not a statist. Definitely don't care if the government wants to have Bitcoin. I think it's totally normal that the government wants to have Bitcoin, but I couldn't care less if they actually buy it or not. So moving on from the SEC chair. That's right, guys. I'm going to do it. We're going to take a look at the MicroStrategy earnings. And I got to be honest with you. Okay, so look, we know that the earning standards have been changed, right, in order to reflect their Bitcoin holdings. So when we look at their Bitcoin holdings and what their numbers were, right, so the company reported a net income of 10.02 billion, and there's some other outlets that are saying that the net income was like 9.96 billion or something like that. Anyways, $32.60 a share versus a net loss of 102.6 million, or 57 cents a share. Now, right, MicroStrategy is guiding for a net income of $24 billion and earnings of $80 per share. So pretty much a little bit more than double, based on a Bitcoin price outlook of 150K by the end of the year. Okay, so obviously it's bullish, right? It's not as hyper bullish as some people, right? Some people are calling for $1 million. You got Josh Mandel, he's calling for 444K. You got Robert Kiyosaki there. He's calling for what? What's he calling for this week? Is it 350 or 250? Who knows? But something I find really strange about this whole thing, and actually Predator put out a post about this, right? So I know this is going to sound crazy. I don't care. But you need people on board, right? In order for a mass delusion or an idea to take place, like we need a lot of people believing in this idea, right? You need a lot of cheerleaders. Now, we understand that the accounting standards have changed, and now they're Bitcoin holdings are now being included. The reality is, though, is that I feel like it seems as though there's a lot of misnomers, because their Bitcoin holdings aren't actually earnings per se. Like, I get it. I get that the value of the Bitcoin has gone higher. I mean, obviously, like, I'm a Bitcoin hodler, right? But it's not actual income. Like, this isn't money that they took in. This is assets that grew in purchasing power. And I know it sounds crazy, guys, but it seems as though to realize those gains, MSTR would actually have to sell their Bitcoin and turn it into fiat. Now, of course, as Bitcoiners, we think, well, why would we do that? Well, why are we going to take profit into fiat? And I don't disagree with that, because I don't think moving into fiat is taking your profits. However, I just don't see the business landscape bending the knee to this, maybe ever, maybe that quickly, maybe in a timely manner. I don't know, guys. It's really strange. And the other piece to it is this. The earnings conference call. Now, I've said this before. I worked for a publicly traded company. Actually, it was a Fortune 500 company. I worked there for almost 20 years. Spent a lot of time in boardrooms and listening to all these meetings, and obviously a lot of different quarterly reports. And I gotta say, I've never seen a company drag influencers from the space that they're in into the conference call in order to, in my eyes, kill and pump the bags. So we're gonna take a look at this video.
Would proof of reserves be an element that would make sense for the company?
Oh, wait, sorry. For context, right? They're discussing proof of reserves. That is the context here. right? Essentially, why MicroStrategy won't show their proof of reserves. Some people have said that MicroStrategy isn't showing proof of reserves because they don't want people to know when they start selling Bitcoin. I know it sounds crazy, but at some point, the desire for diluting shares is just going to go away. And if these businesses don't start actually bringing in money from the services or products that they sell, the rubber's going to hit the road. You know, like, you notice how you never seen an airplane being built in the sky? Yeah, because you can't. It falls apart. It crashes. Anyways, terrible analogy, but I can't help it.
Company at this point.
Fong, do you want to take that?
No, I think you can take this one, Mike.
Okay. We're studying it and we're working on
I just want to point out that Fong at that point just lost his job. Michael Saylor just smiled. He didn't say anything, but he's like, in his head, he's like, and you're gone. Should have taken that job. Now, let's just admire who's on this call, right? You got Samson over here. You've got Lynn Alden. You've got Preston Pish. You've got Jeff Walton, right? All of these people that are shilling this type of stuff. All of the cheerleaders.
responsible ways that we could provide that transparency. And we're considering it in the context of our audits and our own security issues and controls and the scale of our operation. We just had a famous example of a concern.
Here comes the FUD.
Which is 80,000 Bitcoin got transferred to Galaxy, who then sold them. And everybody in the world knew that the Bitcoin was moving, and they knew where it went to, and they knew who was dealing.
I thought transparency was part of the qualities that Bitcoin possesses. Was that not the whole thing? Part of it? No? Wrong? Because it's different.
With it, and they knew when it happened, and it created a massive dislocation in the market, like $3,000, $4,000 dislocation, and people lost their minds. We would like to not be in a situation where a routine custody reshuffling creates the same degree of chaos and dislocation.
Oh, I love that framing. See, he's not looking out for his best interests. That's not what's happening here, guys. He's looking out for your best interests, my best interests, right? The interests of his shareholders. That's really what he's looking out for. I don't know if I buy that. I appreciate the altruistic spin, but I think it has much more to do with essentially allowing him, because let's be honest, right? It's got over 630,000 Bitcoin. The STRC investment vehicle just raised another, what was it? $4.2 billion in order to buy more Bitcoin. And by the way, they're not using the ATM for this. So this is, in all fairness, right? That's actually pretty good. I do have hope that eventually he will decide to bolt on businesses that do have decent and growing free cash flows that provide valuable products and services. So see if that happens. But I gotta tell you, at this point, all of this stuff just screams red flags. Like, I'm seeing way too much like influencer push and not enough actual signal. It's like, why would you bring these people on? I mean, it's just strange. No, I don't know. Anyways, all right, guys, we're gonna move on from that, move on from the MicroStrategy stuff, and actually, it leads perfectly into this. So I wasn't aware of this. Tim Kotzman, the Bitcoin Treasuries NYC Unconference. So I imagine an unconference as not being a bunch of suits. I imagine it as just being a whole bunch of Bitcoiners getting together. And you've got some developers there. You've got people from the marketing side. You got people from, all different aspects of Bitcoin, and they're all talking together and, growing the ecosystem. In this particular case, I don't think that's what's happening. I think that this is just a giant shill fest to be able to market your paper Bitcoin, if you have any. And you know what? Let's just quickly take a look at the video, the sales video that they made for this. Good jazzy tune. I can't disagree with that. It is a very good jazzy tune. Now, you might be wondering, what does it cost for me to be able to sit with this level of Bitcoin intelligentsia, right? So that I can just get a piece of what they're saying, just so I could learn and become such a better Bitcoiner. Well, we went to their website and we took a look. And I got to be honest, guys. Got to be honest. I don't see myself paying to see these kind of tweets, because that's really what it is. You're just paying to read people's Twitter timelines, and of course it's all just networking events, right? And again, right, if you are building a business that is in that realm, right? Like you're going to be going public. You're going to have shareholders. You already do have shareholders, and you want to expose people to your product, right? Then you are going to go to this Bitcoin Treasuries NYC Unconference, right? So that you can network. But this is not for plebs. I mean, obviously anybody can go, who cares? But I'm just looking at this, and it's like these prices, and of course, right, like every other conference, as it comes closer, the prices go up, and it's like, so it's one day, right? The general admission by July 1st was $250. Okay, and then of course you could see here the general admission after that became $500. Anyways, I just don't see myself paying, like I said, to go and read people's timelines. Because that's really what this is. These guys are shilling the stuff that if you already are in the space, and specifically on X, and paying attention to all of this, none of this shit is new. Okay, none of this is new, and none of this really matters. Yeah, guys, look, I just, this is bull market, right? This is Bitcoin bull market vibes. This is what we're getting, right? We've got the paper Bitcoin summer. We've got the stable coin summer. We've got these people making fake unconferences. And I got to tell you, like I saw that Anders is co-hosting that one. I was kind of shocked, a little bit. I mean, look, to each their own, right? To each their own. But as a Bitcoiner, and at least I can tell you this, guys, Pleb Underground, we're not here to shill you paper Bitcoin or anything like that. We're not looking to take money from VCs that are going to be shilling paper Bitcoin. We're not looking to shill people stocks or anything like that. This is a Bitcoin only channel. Yep, we are going to talk about stuff that isn't Bitcoin, but we're talking about it in how it relates to Bitcoin and how it relates to the bigger picture. I just don't understand how people with a in their good conscience can sit there and say, I love Bitcoin, buy these stonks. I just don't get it. But again, right, to each their own. We are not all the same. This is what makes the world go round. So yeah, guys, I tried to make it a Hopium episode. I swear I did. I swear. I was putting all this stuff together last night, and I'm like, you know what? It's Friday. We're going to do an awesome Hopium episode. We're going to get people all excited. Michael Saylor's calling for 150K Bitcoin in the next 4 months. Okay? This is going to be huge. And then I couldn't. I saw the rest of this news, and I was just like, forget it. I have no choice. We need to be the signal, guys. That's right. If you are looking for the signal without the noise, stick around. Pleb Underground. Guys, I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. That does it for us. I will catch you on, you know what? Monday, we're doing our monthly round table. So it's going to be Sir Ulrich and Humble Bitcoiner. And we are going to be covering a whole lot of stuff from the month, right? Some stuff that I've talked about already, and we're going to expand on it, but also some new stuff. So yeah, that is going to be Monday night, I believe, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Have a great weekend, guys. Peace.